G'day guys, welcome back. My name's Chris, this is I Ride Taz. Glad you could join me because today we are following on from last week's video where we put a 48mm velocity stack on the bike and removed the stock airbox. In this video, we enter into the dark art of rejetting the bike to suit the lean state that it's now in because of more air, because of the velocity stack. I've done this before, and this is the same carb as an XV250, and I've got a formula that I've used previously that seems to work for most of the bikes I've messed with. So we're going to use that on this bike and see if we can get it to run as well as the other bikes that I've messed with the jetting. Yeah. Jetting is a bit of a dark art and it may take a bit of fiddling around. We may have to do another video just fine tuning, but in this video we will sort of get it to run. Let's get into it, guys. So guys, just before we kick off, I'd like to thank my sponsors, chopthebob.com.au. Check out the website and use iRideTaz on checkout, guys. But let's get down to business and rip off the carb cap to adjust the needle on this side first, because that's probably an easier job. Yeah. Someone's had a fair chop at these. Got it. There's one out. So this technique isn't ideal by any stretch, but when someone's had a fair chop at them, I've always found that this technique works, but you don't want to be using your best chisels, that's for sure. Got it. Awesome. Okay. That was an epic battle. But we got them and we can replace them. So we had that epic struggle getting the carb top off. Now it's off. We need to really delicately remove the diaphragm so that we can get at the needle. I've just unclipped that spark plug lead. There's there. Just be very careful of that diaphragm because the carb won't operate if that's damaged, and they're quite expensive what they are. So just a blade screwdriver. Down the chute you've got a plastic screw, and we're just going to undo that. So there's the cap. Spring, the spring holder. And here is our clip. Pull that down. So we are very fortunate because some carbies, there's no E-clip. So this becomes difficult because you've got to shim it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 slots, and we're going to remove the E-clip from this slot and put it in the next one down to richen up the carby. So there's all our items removed. There's our needle there, and we just have to be very, very cautious we don't bend this or damage the tip. It's in the middle slot. They're counted from top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Leaner at the top, richer at the bottom. We're getting a ton more air in, so we are going to drop it 1 notch, but we might have to come back and drop it a 2nd notch. So we're lifting the needle. So we're dropping 1 notch down, and that's going to let more fuel through and hopefully allow us to counteract the fact that we've got the velocity stack on. So we just pop it back together. Spring. A spring retainer. Here's our nut. And we're going to feed that down through. You can see it in there. You can see it there. There's our nut. Just got to position it and push it straight down and screw it in. That's nice and tight. Again, very, very careful not to damage. This one is completely round, so you don't have to worry about which way it goes, but there is a tab here that goes there to reseat the diaphragm. Diaphragm is reseated. And while we've got the carb top off, this is the spring, and we're going to clip the spring. This controls the rate at which the slide can come up and down. On lambs bikes and beginners bikes, it sort of is very slow to respond to the throttle, which is a safety consideration. So we're just going to shorten the spring by 2 rotations to just reduce that pressure. And I've found in the past that it responds to throttle a lot better. So there is 1, there is 2. So we've clipped the spring and we're going to pop that back in, and then again this is just going to allow a little bit more throttle response. It's not going to turn it into a Harley Sportster or anything dramatic, but it will just respond to the throttle a little bit better by allowing that slide to move up and down a little bit quicker. Just a small modification, but one I've found that works really well on the XV250, so there's no reason that it's not going to work on this. Let's get the carb top back on, and we'll use those screws that we bought to replace the stock ones. Because it was such a battle to get these screws off, I took them to Nubco, which in Tasmania is the specialist nut and bolt place, and I got them to match the screws for the full fuel bowl and the carb top with some Allen key head, hex head, jobbies like this. It was $4.33 for 8 of the 2 sizes. So yeah, I bought some spares in case I want to do it again, or another carburetor, because most of the bikes I've got are actually Mikuni Carbs, which is great. So I bought some spares and it cost me $4.33 to get it. There's 2 sizes in here, and we will use it to reinstall the carb top, because yeah, again, it is a JIS rather than a Phillips head, but ultimately they strip out. So I'd strongly recommend that once you get them out, you do exactly that. I am pretty sure they are M4, but I would take it to a specialist nut and bolt place or order them from eBay. You can buy them online pretty easily. I just wanted to get it today to get this job done. So let's get the carb top back on. So guys, we are just reseating the diaphragm. It spins around and it goes just over that tab there. Just gently make sure it reseats into the groove. And we clip the spring, remember? We took 2 coils off it. That will slide back in there, like so. That's reseated. Just again, be super careful with this diaphragm because they're quite expensive and they're quite fiddly. The spring goes on that. And you can feel it sort of clip into place. Your Allen key or hex head bolt goes in there. And it's a 3mm. They go in perfectly, which is good. And if you replace it with a hex head or an Allen key, much easier to get out next time. I don't know why they put those JIS screws in, because they always strip out. They're just notorious for it, and just makes the whole process really frustrating. And I did just loosen this off slightly to help me move it around. There's a screw down in there that tightens the clamp to the neck of the carb. I just did loosen that off so that I could swivel it around. So I'm just down in there tightening that back up. So at the top of your manifold, that hose clamp there, I've reseated the carb correctly so we don't get any air leaks and lean states. I've tightened that up, and that will angle the carb back that way, which will make getting the float bowl off easier, but pushing the carb that way made getting the carb top off easier. Cool, so we will go around the other side and we'll start getting the float bowl off. So yeah, off camera guys, I did remove one of the screws to take to Nubco, just so that I had a size. Oh yeah, there's a... So... Yep, these are not great condition either. No. So this will be an epic battle yet again. Bear with me. So this is turning into an absolute nightmare. So I've got a screw extractor to try and get them out. So we're just going to drill a pilot hole. And that was a complete and utter nightmare, but we have them out. Thank God we have them out, and we didn't damage the threads. Oh, what a nightmare. Bottom line, do not bother with screw extractors. They do not work at all. So, complete and utter waste of money. What I did was, these are M4. So I got an M3 drill bit and just drilled until I cracked the top, the cap, and then sort of ultimately I could pop the fuel bowl off and then use some vice grips to thread them out. It was a nightmare, but we got there, and I'm happy we got there, but my gosh, what a nightmare situation. Because while the float bowl's off, just a perfect chance to give it a quick clean out. You might have some varnish in there that's formed when the bike's been sitting for a while. There might be a collection of crap that could block up the jets in there. So perfect time to give that a clean out. I've got these M4 hex cap bolts or Allen head bolts to put back in. And when I take the jets out, I expect to find a 15 or a 17.5 for the pilot and a 92.5 for the main. So we'll get them out and we'll have a look. Guys, we've got the main jet out and it's a 97.5. With the Mikuni jets, each increment is 2.5 on the number. So we're going to go up one increment and see what it's like. The bike ran really well as it was, so we're not going to go too severe on the jetting because ultimately it might end up running too rich and will gas us out and foul plugs and things like that. So we're going to go up in one Mikuni increment with each jet and trial it to see how it goes. So the next one would be a 100, and I bought bulk Mikuni jets from eBay. They're about $24, $25 each bag. They're 5 different jets at the 2.5 increment. So the bottom line is we'll go 100 next, which is one increment above 97.5. Get that bad boy in there. And you don't need to do them up as tight as what's been done here. Someone has definitely, between the chopped up screws and how tight those are done up, Someone's definitely messed with it. So this is 15, and a lot of VL250s actually come at 17.5. So we'll go through our jets and find a 17.5, 125. Yep. So there's a 17.5. So we'll pop that in. We'll put our fuel bowl back on and we'll give it a start. Guys, now comes the tuning part of it, which can be a pretty slow, tedious process. But ultimately what I've found on startup is that it's running too rich and it's fouling plugs. So I'm going to take the fuel, float bowl off, and I'm going to return it to the 15 pilot. And then I'm going to take the slide out and I'm going to return it to the middle setting, run it in a slightly leaner state and see how it goes. I have a feeling that ultimately it just needs the main upgraded, which would be awesome because it was running amazingly on the settings that it had. So realistically, I'm going to return most of it to that, the sort of idle circuit and then the mid-range circuit back to where it was, and continue from there. I'm not going to bore you with taking this float bowl on and off a million times while I go through this process. I'll do it a few times and I'll get back to you when I'm happier with how it's running. It was fouling the plugs, so I've just grabbed a 16mm long socket and I'm gonna just take the plugs out and give them a clean. So you've got your 3 circuits that we're working on. We've got the pilot, the sort of the mid-range on the needle, and then the main, which is sort of the last the last quarter of throttle. So all I've done is just leaned out the pilot and the needle. So the first 3 quarters back to stock, and I think it will run a lot better. I'm just giving the plugs a quick clean with a wire brush, and I'll continue the process. And this is tuning. This can take a long time. And what I'm doing here, it may not work for you. I'm at about 400 meters in altitude. And so what works here may not work at sea level. This is the sort of personal aspect of it. You have to tune your bike for your environment. and it can take a bit. There's probably a lot of bikes sitting in sheds where people have messed with the carbies and they never run right. Okay, that's heaps better. So guys, we've turned this into a 3-part video. We've got the bike to start and to sort of respond to the throttle. So in the next video, we will be taking it out on the road and maybe fine tuning some of the jets if it stumbles. But we won't really know how it runs until we've got the bike under load. So in the next video, we'll do a few laps around Sheffield and I will show you sort of if we need to fine tune it and how we will do that. But guys, the bike is coming on. I'm really happy with how it looks. I love this space here. And I love the look of the velocity stack. The bike is getting pretty close to sort of completion for stage 1. I do have some ideas of maybe going on to a stage 2, but I'll keep you posted there. I'm really happy with how it looks. I think the bike looks great and I think it really suits what I set out to achieve. But guys, I'll leave the video there. If you wanted to support my sponsors, go to chopthebob.com.au, use iRideTaz on checkout, use iRideTaz10 on checkout. If you'd like to support the build, maybe just go down to the super thanks down the bottom. That's probably the easiest way. Or you can go to buymeacoffee.com/iRideTaz. A couple of different ways to support the build directly. Yeah, content creation is free to watch, but it's certainly not free to produce, so anything is greatly received, particularly at the moment. But guys, I will leave you there. Videos are on Tuesday at 3:30 PM Australian Daylight Savings Time. I've got ride videos that go up on Saturdays. But yeah, guys, till I see you next Tuesday, I'm out. Have a great day.